Okay, so we'll just take a minute or two for everyone to get settled and comfortable, whether you're sitting down or lying down. This Monday morning, which is really the beginning of our lifting of the lockdown. So it's quite exciting, really. I know I've been enjoying seeing a little bit more of people in the last week. Myself outside, thankfully the weather's been very nice. Okay, so what we're going to do today, same as ever, bring the self into the center, bring the selves into the center, and we're going to do that, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about residual anxieties that we can have, and how we can change that or transform the residual anxieties that can come from trauma or everyday life, really, but that sometimes get into our head and separate us from being able to be present. So just to begin then, just bring ourselves into this space. We have 10 or 15 minutes here this morning at the beginning of the week to just really relax, get ourselves centered, just get a small bit of clear focus for the mind. So we just begin, just draw ourselves into the space that we're in, into whether we're sitting or lying down. Perhaps you can feel your feet on the floor. Perhaps you can feel where your heels meet whatever you're lying on. Perhaps you can just feel your feet wherever they are. Knees, hips, just becoming aware of the body. Lower back, spine, maybe straightening slightly. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, the neck, back of the head, in all around the face. Just notice now as we start to bring our awareness to our breathing, if there's anywhere that just needs to soften just slightly. Just to notice it, just let it soften. Perhaps it's the lower back, perhaps it's the shoulders, perhaps it's the jaw, the hands, muscles around the head. So just as we start to notice the breath coming in, the breath going out, breath coming in, breath coming out, breath coming in, breath going out. You can notice that even beginning to do that just starts to relax the body, starts to relax the mind. And the mind can wander a little, and that's normal. We maybe have thoughts of what we have to do in the day or week ahead. But what we're just doing is gently bringing as much as we can of ourselves back into the center, to just follow the breathing very gently. Noticing the breathing coming in and out. Maybe just take a moment quietly just to be aware of our own breathing. Just to notice how it physically affects the body. If we feel it in our belly, if we feel it in our ribs, so as we expand and contract. Perhaps we feel it in the shoulders. Just noticing how even bringing our awareness to the breath brings a sense of gentleness to ourselves, to our relationship with ourselves. Just a gentle awareness of the breathing. This is going to get all the more important as life starts to get busier again for all of us, is to be able to access a little bit of stillness whenever we need it. Just these seeds that we've sown at the core of the being. Just being, just breathing. So you can continue to just watch your breathing, notice the body relaxing, notice the breath coming in and out. A part of your mind can follow what I'm saying. If you drift back to breathing and lose track of what I'm saying, that's fine too, because this is really about having just 5 or 10 minutes to just rest, center ourselves, focus the mind, ready for the week ahead. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is residual anxiety. But we all have experiences where we get upset in the world. Maybe something happens in the day or something doesn't work out the way we wanted it to. And, we might get anxious or upset or angry, and that's quite normal. The problem with us humans, is that these feelings, sort of anxieties and fears, can get lodged inside us, especially if they're coming from trauma. And a lot of us have this left over from perhaps early childhood experiences, this lingering, maybe background anxiety that can flare up from time to time. And it can seem quite overwhelming. And sometimes when we start meditation, we can even become a little bit more aware of this as well. As the mind starts to clear, we can become aware of these very powerful feelings. So we're just going to look today about what we can do about those. And I really like the expression "feel it to heal it," and I think this would go to the core of how I believe traumas can be repaired, because for all of us, we might at some time have been broken, but that doesn't mean for any of us that we're broken forever. And but even when we're on our way to being repaired, we can have these little fractures and this anxiety. So it's working out how to work with that. So these habitual or background anxieties, and we've had a lot of that, I think, over the last these last weeks with the lockdown, and perhaps it's partly because of everything we've known that's going on in the outside world. Partly it's because we've had more time to look at ourselves as well, that we can actually notice these things. But these things can become a little bit like Groundhog Day, that we settle down to do something, or settle down to rest or to sleep, and then these waves of feelings can appear out of nowhere. And of course, the instinct that we have is to chase it up with thoughts, to feed it and link it up to things and run through a story in our own mind. what we're going to look at is a different approach. Sometimes people run away from these things, bury it, and try to change the focus or think of something different. Other times we tell ourselves a narrative. In fact, in a way, really the only way to deal with these deep lying residual emotions is to take the time to actually really feel them and to look at it face on, as it were. And this can seem quite overwhelming because when we start to feel anxious, really all we want to do is make it go away because it's very unpleasant. The thing to always remember is that these residual feelings are not our present. They are residues from the past. So if we're bringing the mind into the present, these residues from trauma are just that. They're residues, they're shadows. And so in a way, I think sometimes the hardest thing about it is the fear, the fear of our fears or the fear of our anxieties, because they can seem so enormous. But an interesting thing is if we just sit with it, if we just feel it in the body. So for example, we're sitting here now, we're lying down, we're relaxing, we're in safe spaces, we're centered through following our breathing. And as we just start to notice around our body, we notice the physical sensations. We notice the places where we hold these tensions in the body. And sometimes we want to move, we want to adjust ourselves. But in fact, awareness, meditation, and focus of the mind on the present can actually allow us to just hold the space. To just hold the space. To hold the space with all of our feelings, all of the sensations in our body. To hold the space with feelings. Some of them will be comfortable and some of them can be very uncomfortable indeed. But to know that these residual things in the present are only ghosts in a way. And when we bring the light of day to ghosts, they disappear. So this is really the thought for today. For all of us is because, I mean, really, you know, it would be a superhuman who didn't have any of these things. But maybe just for the next week to practice this, that if we feel these uncomfortable feelings and we know that they're unrelated to our present situation, just stop, just breathe, and just really notice it. Really notice it. Where do we feel it in the body? How do we feel it? Do we feel it in the muscles around the head? Do we feel it in the muscles around the eyes? Do we feel it in our jawbone, around our ears, in our neck and shoulders? You know, where do we carry these things? And the most extraordinary things happen when we start to give it our attention. A transformation takes place. And maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but with practice, when we're able to sit comfortably with our uncomfortable emotions, without the fear that, I mean, really, the fear we have most of the time is that these things will kill us, you know, that they will overwhelm us and somehow destroy us. But if we sit with these feelings in the present moment, that they will not destroy us. Ghosts cannot destroy us in the present moment. The only way these things destroy us is if we feed them and give them too much power, but just to bring it back to the breathing, to create that center, which is what we've been doing over these last few weeks. And we all have different techniques for doing this as well, whether it's fishing. For me, I go swimming or walking or gardening. We all have spaces where we're very centered. And we have our breathing exercises. We have the ability to create this stillness. And in this stillness, we have space for everything that we feel in the present moment. And this is awareness. This is awareness. To feel exactly what we feel in the present moment, to be just as we are in the present moment. This is a highly transformative practice, just to be in the present moment. Keep breathing. Just be present. Keep breathing. Just being present. We're just breathing. We're just being present. Just being aware of our breathing. We're just being aware of the present. We're just breathing. We're just bringing our awareness into the fullness of the present. Just breathing. Creating a strong center through gentle awareness. Creating space for everything we feel in the present. This is awareness. This is the light and the power of awareness. To hold the space for everything we experience in the present moment. So we'll just hold that for one more minute. Just holding this knowledge that we have a center that we can access just through breathing, just through settling ourselves down, noticing the body in space, paying attention to our breath, coming and going. Create space for ourselves to have awareness of the present. And it's one of these funny things. I think I've used the word paradox quite a few times. But this is another paradox of the meditation practice as I do it, especially as it relates to trauma, is that these things that we run from feeling, in fact, this idea that we feel it to heal it. We just sit in the present with whatever it is we feel, and something happens when we do that. Something happens when we bring ourselves into the present. And it takes practice as well. So it's not something you just do and it's done. It's something you come back to. I mean, this returning to the present is something that we spend a lifetime really doing, coming back to the present. Back to the present, especially now as we start to go into our busy weeks ahead, seeing more people, doing more things. It's all the more important to remember to bring ourselves back into the center, back into the present. And it's a tool that we can bring with us wherever we go. And it's a very, very powerful tool. So we'll just again bring our attention to the palms of our feet, palms of our hands, soles of the feet, lower leg, upper leg, pelvis, lower back, belly, all around the ribs, shoulders, upper arms, elbows, lower arms, wrists, hands, head, top of the head, all around the face, tip of the nose, corners of the lips. Give ourselves a little smile. Shake out our fingers. Shake out our toes. Nice deep breath. And I hope you have a lovely week ahead. I'll be back on Thursday. I think we have 3 more sessions of the lockdown morning meditations. And I hope you enjoy the week.